All right. Looks like we're live. Good morning, everyone. We got Colby from EXP and we got Frank, old guy REI, and just trying to test some stuff out today. I got my new Wi-Fi, trying to do it, but it doesn't look like it's working. Oh, there we go. We're going to test this out on Instagram too. So if anyone's out there, let me know how it's working on Instagram. But I'm on Facebook, LinkedIn. Seems like everything's working well. But morning, everyone.
Good morning. I'm
Yeah.
trying to figure out if I'm live on Facebook or not.
Yeah, like I said, this is kind of just a trial run, test it out. So a couple of things I did find out is that the Mac Mini M4, the base model, might not be strong enough for the new Wi-Fi I got, internet I got. So I might have to return that and upgrade to the 10 gigs. But they don't sell that in the stores. You got to order that online. So if anyone's out there thinking about doing that, but cool. Frank, did you get a chance to connect any channels or?
No, I didn't. I just came right in. Looks like
Oh
you're on
man.
Instagram though.
Cool. Yeah. Well, let's just have some fun. This is going to be kind of for Frank. We're going to kind of talk about out of state investing, and a lot of people kind of have a hard time jumping into out of state investing. But Frank is doing it in how many markets right now?
I think four different
Four.
markets. Yeah.
Yes. So what is your where do you live and what markets do you invest in?
Yeah, we're here on the Central Coast in California near Santa Cruz. I guess a lot of people know where Santa Cruz is, but um, we're actually in Watsonville, which is a few miles south of Santa Cruz. And we're investing in the Midwest. We have homes in Illinois, St. Louis, and St. Joseph, Missouri, Milwaukee, and Gary, Indiana.
I already have a hard time being in one market. I mean, how do you, do it in multiple markets?
It When we first started out, like we tried to get started in 2007, and everything kind of fell apart. We jumped in without any education back then, and we had a couple of properties in Sacramento, California, and ended up losing those, and through the journey going through bankruptcy and stuff, and then found found Zuber and Bigger Pockets and everybody in 2019. So started trying to learn how to do it the right way, and we bought our first property in 2021, which was the triplex in St. Joseph. But through Bigger Pockets, we ran across a turnkey promoter, Allie Boone. You've probably heard us chat about her, and she's been on our channel a couple of times. But that model was appealing to us because it was a pretty low barrier to entry, and the concept was good, right? You buy a kind of a refurbished property through a property turnkey provider, and back then they were even would have tenants in place before you took ownership. So we thought we'd try that, and that's kind of how we ended up in the different markets. We have three turnkeys. We got one on Millennial Mike's coattails with the turnkey provider that he used in Gary, and then the second one through Allie's network in Illinois. So we we didn't just go blindly into all the different markets. Sometimes that's been a kind of a running joke in the group. How are you doing it, and why are you so scattered? But I think we jumped in with a little bit of help. Allie's super helpful, and she's with you all the way through the journey, and dealing with the turnkey providers and stuff that she works with. So uh, we felt like we had some trusted boots on the ground per se.
Nice. Yeah, I mean that's to me that's the biggest struggle. I can't even imagine being in different markets. And so Colby, he's a EXP agent, and I'll just throw this out there real quick. I have switched to EXP officially as of yesterday,
Great.
so that's going to be fun. So me and Colby's going to try and collaborate and do some things together. But like so, Colby, I'm sure you talk to a lot of agents in all different markets, and do a lot of them do business? You think in different markets or have their license in multiple areas?
Not really. Most agents that I know have a license in just their local market. And it kind of does depend on reciprocity rules and where they're located. So most agents in kind of like the DMV area are licensed, in all three states or areas, right? DC, Virginia, Maryland, because everything is so close together. A lot of agents kind of up in the northeastern states do have their licenses in multiple states, just because everything is pretty close together, and they could be living in a city where they're 20 minutes away from the other state, right? It's still part of their neighborhood or their farm area. So yeah, so it really depends on where the agents are located. If they're licensed and doing business in multiple states, I would still say, like, even though they're different states, they might be considered like the same market because it's close together. Um, but not a lot of agents will travel across the country to to do a deal, especially because they can collect referrals. So no, they're living in a one state for 6 months of the year. For whatever reason, they're living in a different state for another 6 months. That they might make sense for them to get licensed in maybe both Florida and California. But most people are just sending referrals and collecting a referral check with their license if that's the case. So,
Cool. Yeah. So I'm still trying to navigate things. So it looks like we're on Instagram, and I see Denzel here commenting about the Lions. So Denzel was on the other week. So if anyone hasn't checked out that one, that was a interesting one because he ghosted me for a while, and so what happened was he had a fire at his duplex, or so we kind of discussed that about how dealing with adversity and how to move on from that. But I think it was on his birthday or the day before his birthday. But anyway, yeah. So we were supposed to do a live, and he didn't show up, and I was worried. I was like, "Where is this guy?" He wasn't responding to me, and then come to find out, he had a fire at his place. But thanks for stopping by, fellas. Yeah, Ned's here, Kyle's here. We gotta get Ned back on. He's been super busy though. But I also put Frank's YouTube channel in the chat, so go check it out. He also has the link for his ORAT T-shirt, which we're trying to raise money to for the blind center at the ORAT event. So go check all that out. But yeah, Frank. So I guess, like like you said, you're kind of not, I wouldn't say the joke, having being in multiple markets, but like, are you trying to narrow it down now that you've been in multiple? You're trying to pick which one you like the best, or you still like the idea of being in multiple markets?
Yeah, once in a while the thought crosses my mind about because we do belong in a few other groups. We're in a group called Addicted to ROI, and Jennifer Beatles started that group years ago, and she was living in Washington. I'm not sure if she still lives there, but and investing there, and it got too expensive. So she started a network of agents across the Midwest. It's called Agents Invest, and they're agents that she vets in different markets, and then they look for deals for the people in her group and bring deals to them on a regular basis. There's usually a few new properties each week. And again, I don't know, how you can trust someone that you only know online, but I do have a lot of trust for her and her group. And um, to be an agent in her network, you have to be, I guess, I don't know how to say it any other way, but have good morals and good business, um, good business sense. But to be, and she continuously vets them along the way and gets feedback from us. If we reach out to get information on a property or something like that, and we have a good or bad experience, she relies on us to get that information back to her, so she knows whether or not to keep working with those agents. But I am liking St. Louis for right now. We're trying to concentrate on St. Louis. We have 3 properties in St. Louis and 1 across the river in Illinois. We like our agent there, and she's one that we found through. She was affiliated both on Bigger Pockets and with Jennifer's group of Addicted to ROI. So there was already some trust there. And we started working with her, and she's helped us with these 3 deals that we have there. And she's also, she has a network of people that she works with. She invests there as well. So we're kind of building a team there. We've used some of her contractors, and I have a good property manager there that I like. So I was messing with Zuber the other day and asking him, if when you get set in a market, and you have a few properties, should you switch and to diversify maybe a little bit? And he got on me for that, but he says if it's working, in a market, why mess with it? So just keep going and doing what we're doing. And those are all single family homes. We have one duplex and one triplex, so we have a mix. But I think the next property that we look for will probably be a small multifamily, 2, 3, or 4 unit.
All right. Yeah. Like I said, Pittsburgh is hard enough as it is, investing 6,000 miles away. And, I think even a lot of people would say investing in your backyard is hard enough, and you're doing it in multiple markets and succeeding. So I think that's awesome. And I think that's what's important for people that are always trying to get started. They're trying to figure out what market to get into, and you're kind of showing that you don't necessarily have to know right off the bat, right? You kind of can get into different markets maybe, and then kind of figure out which one works best for you. But yeah, I think I did find out I messed up. So we were on Instagram. I think I can't comment there. So I sent a comment and I think it shut us off. But yeah, like I said, this I'm trying to learn and figure out how I can stream on everything. But that's good to know that it worked and the stream seems to be working well. So my new software seems to be doing well. But yeah, so Colby, I don't know if you saw, but Denzel messaged you on the Instagram side. He said if you need to connect with any agents, let him know because he does tutoring. He's an EXP agent also in Detroit, and he also helps people prepare for the exam. So he said you guys should connect, and you guys can do some collaboration that way. But cool. So yeah, Frank. So I mean, as far as like being in different markets, does that mean you have to use like different lenders? You have like I'm assuming you have all different property managers. Like how do you dealing with all these different individuals?
Yeah, I think right now we're pretty well set on our property managers because we do have 5 different property managers, but along the way we have had to let 2 go. Last year when we went to Zuber's All Right event at the Midnight Denny's meetup, we met Justin Cambra, and he's a big investor in Wisconsin, and he referred us to Smart Asset Realty there. So we switched over to them about 6 months ago and have had a much better experience with that property and with them. Um, so I think I don't really have any issues to speak of with any of our property managers. And again, being in this community has really helped a lot for, I mean, not just to get ideas from people who have maybe gone through the struggles that we're going through or things like that, but recently in a lot of the chats, um, people have been saying, if you're stuck in analysis paralysis, maybe just find something, with it. And we're always there to help too, you and a lot of the other people in the group. But you're going to learn a lot more by getting that first property and going through it. I think your guest that was on with you and Mikey yesterday said the same thing. He's got 1 or 2 duplexes, and he was saying he doesn't really join the groups as much right now. He's learning as he goes with the properties, and to be sure you have strong reserves. And I think that's one of the biggest things to start with is reserves, because it'll carry you through. And because things are going to come up, they always do. And even though you might think you learn everything on the first property, the next buy is going to be different. It's going to have different um, issues come up. So that part probably never ends. Even if you're in it for 10 or 15 years, if you're still buying, you're going to run up against new challenges.
Yeah, totally. So MJ was the guest yesterday. He's in Chicago. He was going to try and make it on, but he's working. He's UPS driver, and it's a busy season for them, so he's working some OT to get that next property. But there is a question for Kobe from Trade Better. Thanks, Harrison, for stopping by. He says, Kobe, would you recommend we all train to be agents to be better investors?
Yeah, that's a good question, man. So Harrison, our podcast is out, man. It's getting good traction. I don't know if you saw that, but yeah. So there's different reasons why an investor will want to, be licensed. I would say. I want to make a distinction. So there's kind of a difference between being licensed and being a quote unquote active agent. So you could be licensed and not necessarily represent people and sell properties. You could, most investors, what they do, they have their license, but when they run across people that want to sell or buy, they refer them to another agent, right? Because they're busy with investing. They're, a lot of investors have other full-time jobs as well. So they're not necessarily having the time to be able to be a full-time agent, right? Because being an agent is another business or a career or a job on its own. But there's benefits to that. So one of the big things that I've seen a lot of investors who ended up getting their license is they just have a lot of friends who see the success they're having investing that haven't started investing yet but want to start investing. So they're going to you, right, for advice. They're asking you, what should I invest in? Where should I be? What markets I should be looking in? Can you help me find a rental property? Right, if you're investing in your local market, of course. And what happens is they just get tired of handing out free advice, and they just to get their real estate license, and they become the agent for their friends, essentially, to help them also buy rental properties. So that's one of the reasons why they do that. So if you're investing for a while, you have a lot of people asking you, hey, should I invest? What should I do? That's a good reason to get licensed. Another one would be if you are doing a lot of off-market prospecting of sellers of rental properties, or that you want to buy, or if you're going direct to market yourself, then it would be beneficial to get a real estate license, because what you're going to do is you're going to run across a lot of people who want to sell, but it's not in your buy box. So you don't want to buy it for your rental property because it doesn't work for you, but they still need to sell. So in the past, what happens is you kind of pass it off to another investor, another agent, to maybe list it, right? If it's a really nice home, people just need to sell, and no investor's going to buy it, then you're just passing it off to maybe a friend of yours, but you can't collect a referral because you're not licensed. So having a real estate license allows you to collect that referral as well. So there's different reasons to do that. I think there's a lot of benefit in just going through the real estate licensing classes, just to see, how it works from the agent side of things, and also maybe be plugged into networks of agents that can also bring you deals as well. But if you have a full-time career outside of real estate investing, I wouldn't necessarily just quit on that and just go all in on being an agent. But there is benefits to getting a license, so that could be the first step. And then if you see that it works for you, then that could be another direction to go in as well. But yeah, it's not it's beneficial, but I think for a lot of people, they think they have to be like this full-time agent in order to get the most out of the license. And for investors, that's not necessarily the case.
Yeah, totally agree. I think the big thing too is, if you want to be a good agent, it takes a lot of time, right? So it kind of takes away in a sense from being an investor somewhat. So it's kind of, I think it's better to do one or the other first, instead of trying to do both at the same time. But for me, the agent side is, I'm looking at it more like how I think, Kobe, you talked about it, and kind of your messages. It's also like building passive income, right? Building residual income with the agents that you acquire or whatnot, or build up, put on your team, right? So it's kind of like a rental property, right? So it's one way to just build extra revenue. Because I know, Frank, you're asking me about my license and stuff, but um, there was shoots. I was gonna say something about as far as Zach is here, Instagram. I believe he has his own brokerage in Arizona, I believe. But Kobe, you did mention a podcast, and you mentioned Harrison being on it. I know Curtis has been on it. But what is that all about? You have a podcast, or what do you talk about, or what do you discuss on there?
Yeah, so I do a podcast for my channel. It's just I'm me interviewing other people, a lot of agents, a lot of investors, a lot of investor agents as well. We try to get as many of those on as possible. If people are doing both sides of the business, but really it's just about success in real estate, whether it's on the investing side, on the agent side, if it's on the just building a business in general. So it's for people who are entrepreneurial, who are investing, who want to build passive income through real estate, and we just bring on interesting guests to create some content very similar to kind of what you're doing, you guys are doing as well. Right, just bring on different guests and different perspectives. So yeah, so Curtis was just on, had a great episode with him, and also Harrison as well. So yeah, and then Mark, we did an episode. I think it was like a year ago.
Yeah, and then Curtis is in the chat. He's supposed to be teaching kids right now, but I don't know what he's doing. He's supposed to be working, but he does have a question. He says, "Great pros, any cons to getting licensed?"
Yeah, that's a great question. The one that I've heard the most is you're held to a different standard. So there's certain disclosures you have to make when you're buying properties, and that just kind of depends on what your current real estate investing business looks like. As far as maybe certain wholesalers don't want to do that, and that's okay. But also, some states are requiring wholesalers to get licensed to mitigate against that as well. Um, but yeah, so pretty much, I think that's the biggest con that I've heard from people of getting licensed. It's just you have to disclose it when you're negotiating with a seller. But it also could be a benefit for you if you're the only licensed investor and nobody else is, then that could put you in a position where you seem more professional. And also there are fees associated with it. Now, it depends on kind of where you're at. It could be minimal. It could be, just want to take on the expenses of that, but there are fees. And then also, if you want to keep your license active, there for every state, it's going to be a little bit different, but there's going to be what's called continuing education that you have to make sure that you just keep up with that. And usually it's just an online course that you take for maybe a week or so every 2 years. But you do have to do that if you want to keep your license active. And then there's fees probably around $1,000 or so a year to just maintain your status as a um, licensed agent with a realtor board.
Yeah, I agree. All of those cons. And like you said, I think it's hard to do if you're trying to be an investor and an agent at the same time when you're first starting, right? Because a lot of times I think the biggest thing is you're looking for deals, and
Mhm.
then you have a responsibility to your clients also, right, to present deals to them and whatnot, right? So sometimes you're kind of torn, right? Do I show this to my client, or am I going to buy this for myself? Or so I think that's the one thing. And like you said, there the kind of the legality of things and the responsibility of being an agent and being held to a higher standard. So that is one thing. Let's see. Yeah, Joe here talking shit about my Bears. Kobe is in Chicago or from Chicago. Wait, I forget. Are you in Chicago? Yeah,
No,
you're in Chicago. No, no, Texas, right? No, where
yeah,
you at?
Texas.
Texas, yeah. Kurt gotta love study hall time. Oh yeah, government employee or no, yeah, city employee. I know what you, Curtis. Yeah, I know what you're talking about though. But cool, yeah. Yeah, Kobe, your podcast is great. I know Curtis's episode is getting a lot of good feedback. You gotta get Frank on there, man. You gotta get Frank's story out there. I mean, who wants to invest in like 5 different markets? I mean,
Yeah.
that's just crazy, I think. But he's making it work, right? And Frank, you kind of talked about it before too, but like you touched on it briefly, but you almost quit, right? Or you didn't almost get started in investing again, right? So you had some failures early in your journey, and can you touch on that real quick?
Yeah, I think the thing that motivated me in the beginning was, like I've mentioned, I didn't have a retirement account. I'm a general contractor and have been for 30 something years. And I was just plugging away, just working every day and living day to day. And in my mid 40s, when back then, I'm 61 today, and I got scared because I didn't have anything saved for retirement. And when you start to dive into that system, Social Security and all that stuff, that's not going to get you very far with what you get. So in the beginning, that was my why, and then it kind of transitioned into m- maybe at least helping my wife Cynthia retire or make work optional for herself. She's been a teacher for 20 plus years, and she at first she didn't understand. When I used to say it would help me if she could retire, because when you both drag out of bed in the morning and drag yourself to work, it's hard. But if she could not have to go through that, it would be easier on me. So um, I think we've been fortunate to get the properties that we have in the last 3 going on 4 years now, and our retirement years look much better because of it. But I always felt like real estate would be the path for us. I did look into, retirement accounts and making extra deposits into those accounts, but even that wouldn't have gotten us very far in the time that we've been doing it. So that's why I hung on, and I was going to do. Well, I was getting ready to do an interview years ago with Casey from Brick by Brick Wealth, and I was sitting there thinking, because we took her course, and sometimes people talk about what's the worst that can happen. And when I was getting ready to go on with her, I realized the worst had happened to us already, losing everything, going through bankruptcy, and we were still here. We made it through all that stuff. So I figured with a better education going in for the second round, we could do much better. And so far it's working out pretty good.
I don't know if she's still here, but it looks like Cynthia has joined from Instagram side. So
Oh, did you?
my buddy Cynthia, thanks for stopping by. Um, Frank is killing it. He's doing it for you. He's trying to make you be able to retire early and not have to get out of bed early and roll out. So. But Frank's doing a lot of cool stuff out there. So yeah, everyone in the community respects you, Frank. Loves what you're doing. You're always, you're a big part of Zuber's community, and I know he respects what you're doing, and Dion folks and Lumberjack all respect what you're doing. So keep it up, man. And like I know Curtis looks up to you. A lot of people. So you're doing a lot of cool stuff out there. So keep it up, man. Like Mikey, I think you're Mikey's idol. You know, So
Mikey's awesome, and like supporting everybody and trying to keep us out there, top of mind for everybody. I really appreciate that. And all we've made what I consider to be some really good friends in through the journey, even though a lot of us haven't met in person. I look forward to that if more people can come to Zuber's event this year, and we connected with a lot of great people last year, so that I'm looking forward to that.
Yep, Joe V said everyone loves Frank. Yep, so I agree with that. So yeah, so like Kobe, they're talking about EXP and things like that. So what would be I switched over. So what would you say would be the benefit or difference in EXP compared to other brokerages?
Yeah, it's a great question. We could talk about this all day, but I'm not going to. So yeah, so like when you mentioned Mark earlier, about EXP being having the opportunity to acquire agents and build a passive income stream, I think that in itself is the biggest difference between EXP and other brokerages, right? Because you could have a real estate license with any other brokerages out there, right? If you're an investor, if you're if you're selling real estate as an agent, that's there's a little bit more that goes into that as far as figuring out which brokerage is going to be beneficial for you. But pretty much at EXP, you have the opportunity to do what you couldn't do in the past, which is build a real estate brokerage without having a broker's license, and eliminate all of your liability. So as a broker, you're the person who is liable for all of your agent's actions. So you don't have that at EXP because you're not the broker. You're just a license who's bringing the agents over. EXP is the broker. And then you don't also have the supervision responsibilities that a broker has. So a broker needs to be the one who supervises all their agents, manages all the contracts, or hire somebody to do it. A lot of brokers we've heard say that running a brokerage is like having an adult daycare. and just making sure that all the agents are doing what they're supposed to do and filling the right paperwork and answering all the questions, even if it's super late at night. If the agent's doing a transaction, the first person they're on call is the broker, right? Make sure that they know what they're doing. So you don't have all of that supervision responsibility at EXP either if you're building it through the revenue share model. And then also you don't have the geographic limitations of a traditional brokerage. So you are able to collaborate with agents and build your team across state lines and even country lines, right? So I'm based in Texas. Mark, you're based in Hawaii, right? And I also, we're prospecting agents in other countries now, I think close to 30 countries outside of the US. And then also, of course, the elimination and reduction of expenses, right? So it's only $85 a month to hang your license at EXP, whereas opening a brokerage, that means having your own office expenses, making sure you have, paying rent or you own your own office and paying for all the software for your agents and staff members to help you grow and maintain everything. So that's the biggest part of that, right? Now, kind of talking about it more on a simpler level, right? Just as an individual agent, what you're doing is you're able to come in and hang your license with EXP, and like Mark said, have an additional stream of income through the revenue share model that you can work, pretty much like you're building your own brokerage, again, without all of the headaches that come with it. And you can do it at your own pace. You don't have to, worry about, not making rent roll or, your mortgage on a commercial property the next month. So you can do this, slowly or quickly, however it works for you. Very similar to kind of what I hear you guys talking a lot about your investment journeys, right? It's not necessarily about doing this quickly or scaling super fast. It's just about making sure that all the numbers are correct and you're building the right residual income streams for your lifestyle and your expenses. And you can do that at EXP as well. So that's the big part of that. I think will really appeal to a lot of investors. We have seen a lot of investors. Most of them are full-time investors who've been flipping houses and buying rental properties for a while, make the switch over if they have a real estate license. But I think that's the big leading benefit of EXP is the ability to build a passive income stream through the agent attraction model. Now there's other parts of that comes in as well. There's, we have stock at EXP for agents who are actually doing transactions. So if you're, like an active agent, then you have the opportunity to actually own a piece of the company because we're publicly traded in the NASDAQ, and different things like that, just commission splits and fees, which are pretty common and competitive just around the industry. But that's the big piece. I think, that's the reason why, Mark, you switched over as well. I think a lot of other investor agents and investor-minded agents who are licensed are doing that same thing.
Yeah, plus I have enough babysitting to do with this, trying to schedule all these lives and get all these prima donnas on here like Joel and Matt, Mojo Mindset, who couldn't do it today. But yeah, no, it's fun. But yeah, like you said, uh, hey, Harrison from LinkedIn. Hey, thanks for stopping by. Yeah, thanks for letting me know. Testing some things out. I took a break from LinkedIn because the streams weren't doing too well. So thanks for letting me know that. Question for you, Kobe from Harrison. It says, what has been the best country to work with outside the USA? Would you buy a place there?
That's a great question. So there's two kind of ways that you could look at this. So from our perspective, kind of what we're doing with EXP, we're looking at countries that have high property values, or at least not super high. Where there's property values in some countries are so high that the real estate market is not moving at all, but just a healthy property market that has a high population of real estate agents and individuals. So that's kind of what we're looking at, because with the EXP model, we're looking at scalability, and we're looking at how many people can we actually attract in this market. If it's a really small market, like even if the property market is really good, but there's only 500 agents, then it's a much smaller market for us to grow in versus maybe a market that's a little bit less on the price value range, but it's a much larger market. It has 100,000 or over 100,000 agents in that market. Then it makes more sense for us to focus our efforts in that specific country. So we're looking at and the reason why we look at higher value real estate markets is because revenue share you earn is directly correlated to the commission that the agent is receiving, right? And it doesn't matter where you live. So like I live in Texas, right? We're not the most expensive market in the country, but if I attract an agent in California, they can sell a house that could be average or below average price range, the median price range of their market. But because we all have the same cap across the board, they will be a capping agent at EXP. And then, even though I live in Texas with less expenses for my personal lifestyle, if I have a lot of agents in a high price point market, that still works out pretty well for us. So it's very similar to like, living in a high price point market, but investing in a more beneficial market, kind of like what you guys are doing right on the investment side. So that's one of the things that we look at. So countries that we're looking at now, personally, South Africa for me, because the South Africa real estate market is very similar to the US market. We're also doing quite well there, but also countries in Asia. So we're expanding in more countries in Asia as well, higher population, more growth rate, and different things like that. Now, places that you would buy, Portugal is a very popular one. People are investing in Portugal a lot as far as the European market. Good return on values, a good return on investment, and also just because they have just benefits there. So some people might want to move there later. They like the place. They could get what they call a golden visa. If you invest a certain amount there, you can actually just move there and be not necessarily a citizen. I don't know for sure, but a resident there. And there's benefits to that. And then a lot of people are investing in kind of the Caribbean countries and the like the island countries, if you will, in the Pacific America, if you will, because they're they like traveling there. So they're also they're also looking to maybe put up an Airbnb, but also maybe make it like a vacation home of sorts for themselves as well. So those are kind of the markets that people are investing in. But yeah, you could invest theoretically in other countries too. So if you're investing outside of your state, you could theoretically invest outside of your country as well. More risk, but potentially more reward.
Right there, Frank. You got more markets to look at now. You can jump in from
Yeah.
5 out of state and then now
I
5 out
I
of the
didn't even
country.
I didn't even think of out of country. That's great.
We
I
got
was
Lars here. We got Lars here. Thanks for stopping by, Lars. And Lars is doing out of state investing also. So Lars, if you are still here, I know you're in one market. Like I said, we're talking about Frank being in multiple markets and the challenges that he faces doing that. So, if you had any questions or experience with just dealing with one market out of state, you can put that in the chat and let us know. But yeah, Frank. So I guess, for you, would you recommend people maybe starting in more than one market, or how would you approach that if someone approached you and said, "How do I get started?"
I think probably the best advice that we've come across over the past few years is to no matter where you're going, to follow somebody that's doing it successfully already in that market. Um, and again, like I said before, we have the turnkey and Gary, and we probably wouldn't have done that if Millennial Mike wasn't there. Someone in the chat had asked if we would buy in Gary again, and I think whether we buy in Gary or St. Louis, I think our next purchase is probably going to be something where we're going to remodel it and add value. Buying things turnkey, basically, there hasn't been room for that kind of growth. And actually, Millennial Mike suggested that we do that, and it's been tough. Being a contractor myself, I would love to fly wherever and do the work myself, but at least to go there and supervise whatever contractors we're working with and things like that to add equity or build in equity and advance ourselves that way. Buying turnkey or basically turnkey properties is a little bit slower of a process, but definitely there's so many people in the group that invest in so many different places and have been doing it for a while. They already have connections, that, and most of the time we find that they're willing to share all of their network with whoever's asking. They're not tight-lipped about it. Like we thought in the beginning, people wouldn't want to share that information too much because they're afraid that it would slow down their progress, but that hasn't been the case in this community.
Yeah, totally agree. I think a lot of it too is, like kind of talk about in the community is real estate is kind of a slower moving asset class. So it's, you can't buy all the properties, right? So it's even if a good deal might come across your table and it just like you don't have the funds for it at the time, and that's why everyone is willing to share their resources and whatnot, because they figure it'll come back to them later on when they are ready. But There was something. Let's see. Oh, Cynthia, comment. Thank you. Oh, Cynthia's going to her morning meeting. So I guess Cynthia likes the Instagram side, but thanks for stopping by, Cynthia. I see Inspire Partners 2021. Thanks for joining. Let's see what else we got here. Oh yeah, you guys can build a ORAT like contracting rehab group. Joe V says. He says, "Oh, you, Joe, Hyder, Frank, you guys can fly all over and do the work for everyone." Oh, that might be a business model. Um, yep, Lars has a great point. He said one thing people don't realize is that buying in a different market gives you optionality. Yeah. And, Frank, you did kind of touch on it too. Like the turnkey model, right? I think a lot of people are kind of trying to stay away from that because, like what you talked about, where maybe there's not a lot of equity or not a lot of growth because you're kind of paying top dollar. But I still think it's a great way to get started or get your feet wet, right? Kind of a base hit to kind of feel things out. And like you're saying, a lot of us have made a lot of mistakes on those first few properties. And I think a turnkey property is a great way to get started. Do you still feel that way?
Yeah, exactly. I think I was talking to someone over the weekend about that, where they weren't sure where to get started. And I think, Zuber always says you can go broke buying cheap, but I think there's a difference between buying cheap and buying in an affordable area. We didn't have a lot of money in the beginning to get started. We still don't, but to get in, it was a lot easier. And my thinking was, if I had $40,000 sitting in the bank, life was going to take it some one way or another. So if I could get it into a property and start learning, and like you said, turnkeys, you definitely need to vet the property and do your inspections and all of that stuff, do your due diligence. But I think it's safer that way. And like you said, just to learn the process, learn about getting the lending and um, making sure your debt to income ratio is good, and credit score and things like that. That all of that learning is a lot easier if you don't have to worry that. Um, well, you have to worry a lot less that something major is going to break, because the turnkey providers, like on the ones that we've purchased, have a new roof. The major stuff, water heater, furnace, usually has at least 5 years of life left, or they'll replace it. And the return isn't as great. We try to shoot for a 10% cash on cash return with whatever we buy. The turnkey that we bought in Gary was like between 6 and 7, and we knew that going in. But it's been pretty problem free. We've had it for a little over a year, and that one, with all the remodeling that they did, they'll give you a scope of work on what they did to the property. And we honestly have had a few that we didn't purchase after we got the inspections done. They had issues that we weren't okay with. But um, again, if you find someone like Allie, that's that's got your back through the whole process. Chester worked with Allie. He got his first property, and that's been super exciting. He's been analyzing for a long time, and finally jumped in. And through the first few months of his journey with that property, he's learning so much, and hasn't come up against anything that he couldn't deal with or overcome. So I think, yeah, I think turnkeys, a lot of them are in affordable markets where you could jump in pretty easy, and always lean on, other people. We're willing to take calls or emails or anything from anyone that needs help, if there's any way we can help. And I talk about that too, because we have our accountability calls, in the group. But when you jump in, you're not just learning from someone like me who's only been doing it for 3 or 4 years. So many other people join in that have much more experience and have gone through a lot more, and connections are being made in different states. People find out, oh, you live around the corner from me, or whatever that might be, and they're able to get help from someone that's actually near them. So that's been a positive thing.
We got the great all-nighter hider popping in. He just stopped by he just finished up the daily financial news with Zuber. So that's the struggle too, planning all these lives and whatnot, especially when Zuber puts out so much content out there. It's hard to navigate things around his schedule. Um, but but yeah, thanks for stopping by, Hyder. I put your YouTube channel in the comments. So everyone go check it out. He's putting out a lot of good content out there. Curtis says he is searching for an additional market. So he put out in school about the Milwaukee market. So if anyone knows about that, reach out to Curtis and fill him in about that. But I'm calling him a trader because Curtis is actually a Bears fan. So, but
Well, the Packers are doing pretty good this year, so he's going to the right place.
they are doing good, but this is a tough division. So the Lions and Vikings are, yeah. I don't see the Packers being able to make I mean, they might make the playoffs, but it's going to be tough to get three teams from one division to get in there. Yeah, I don't know if you guys saw the end of the Bengals game last night, but that was crazy. But Jamar Chase saved my fantasy. He got me the win with that last touchdown, so that was good. But that was crazy. Yeah, I know, yeah, we kind of touched on it yesterday. We can still talk about investing in multiple markets, but we kind of touched on some stuff yesterday that a lot of people seem to have some questions or comments on. But we were talking about Bitcoin. I don't know, Kobe. I never really talked to you about Bitcoin. I don't know if you have any Bitcoin or crypto, and Frank, if that's any asset class you're investing in. But Bitcoin's been soaring. I don't know if you guys saw about the Hawk Tuah girl who did kind of a rug pull on her meme coin and probably going to jail for it, but we'll see what happens. But yeah, you guys got any crypto or Bitcoin you guys invest in?
I don't. It's something I don't know much about at all. Just what's in the headlines. And like you said, I think I need to concentrate on the real estate and get that nailed down and make sure it becomes profitable. And then then you can check out other things.
What about you, Kobe? Crypto, Bitcoin? No.
No, I don't know much about that either. I think I agree with Frank. Right, you focus on your lane of business, asset class, and then it's not saying like other things don't work. It's just you have to focus on the thing that you know most about, and then try not to extend yourself too thin.
Oh, we got Hugo stopping by. Stay when he heard me talking about mentioning Bitcoin and Hawk Tuah girl, so that's why he's here. But Hugo, thanks for stopping by. So I don't know. He's been doing a lot of lives too, so go check him out on YouTube and X. Go support Hugo out there. Um, but yeah, same thing. I kind of talked about it yesterday. I mean, Bitcoin. I think it's a great asset class, but like Frank mentioned, I mean, real estate itself is already challenging enough to be, I guess, good at it, right? So for me, that's my focus right now. And then at some point, right when like Zuber, they talk about they have 1% of their net worth, but after a certain point, it's kind of just a place to diversify. But in the beginning, you're trying to build up these reserves and build up these funds. Hugo said he's going live at 8 a.m. on vertical YouTube. 8 a.m. What is that? Pacific? No. What time? Pacific time? Pacific probably. So probably about 10 minutes. So I don't know if you guys been following on YouTube, but I guess YouTube is doing a vertical live streams also now. So it's another way they're kind of trying to not go against, but be like TikTok, I guess. So you can, I guess, get not donations, whatever. I'm not on TikTok, so I'm not sure how people, pay you or donate or whatever. But I think YouTube is also trying to push that feature out there. So you can do lives, vertical streaming. So go check that out. Go support Hugo out there. But Hyder says all the scams surrounding specifically Bitcoin have not involved the Bitcoin thesis. They have just involved but the Bitcoin protocol was not the problem. Um, yeah. So Hyder said that's his reserves because he was already in Bitcoin. Yeah. I'm just afraid that I'll never figure out how to I would lose it or lose my, I would lose my wallet or whatever, and I just would never have access to that. Did you guys hear that story? I heard about it before, but Zuber reminded me about it. They were talking about the guy that bought a pizza with so much Bitcoin. This is like in the early days of Bitcoin. Yeah, it'd be worth like how much? Do you know how much it'd be worth today, Kobe? I forget, but he bought a pizza with like Bitcoin when it was like super like whatever pennies or whatever, and then today it'd be worth like millions or maybe a billion. I don't know, but that's a crazy story.
Yeah. Never know how your luck could change just like that.
Yeah, even that one guy, right? Didn't he lose it or he had it on his computer or something, or and he threw it away and he's been like searching dumpster, dump sites and trying to find access to his crypto or his Bitcoin. But yeah, that's my where I can I don't know.
Yeah,
Wasn't
you know.
someone talking about how they were just transferring it from one platform to another and they didn't do it right and lost it and couldn't
Yeah.
retrieve it? Yeah. So
I could see that happening.
So
Oh,
they,
you know what, Kobe? I'm not even sure if you know her. I don't know if you've been following that story. She was on Zuber's channel a few times. Um, no, see, Jovi said 10,000 Bitcoin. I think for the pizza, it's be worth 1 billion now. Yeah, that's for a pizza. It's crazy. Probably
for
Chicago, maybe a Chicago deep dish pizza would be worth it. Yeah, I don't know. But she is known as the short sale queen. She's in Texas, I believe, Dallas, I believe. But she got arrested and is facing 30 years in prison for forging documents. But her model was short sales, and I believe she was coaching and teaching people how to do it. But basically, she was forging documents, I believe, to kind of delay the foreclosure or make as if to the banks, right? Like there was an offer or some way to prolong the foreclosure from going into effect. So that's how she was doing the short sales. But yeah, so she was on Zuber's channel a few times. And yeah, I was just was wondering if maybe you've ever done business or encountered with her, but I believe she's in Texas.
No, I think I've heard of her. Maybe I've seen her channel before. You mentioned Short Sale Queen in Texas. It kind of rings a bell, but not never done business with her.
Yeah,
So,
I mean I mean I think, and Zuber and Jason Pritchard were talking about it, and I think they were saying supposedly, um, from what it sounds like, it was for like it maybe the transactions would have came out to about 300 something thousand or 400,000 in commissions. So, but I have a feeling that that wasn't all the money that was, so she was teaching people how to do this also, right? So maybe she had a course. So a lot of, maybe just from a transaction side, it was like whatever, 400,000, but maybe on the school platform or whatever her coaching was, she was bringing in revenue from, possibly teaching people how to do this type of strategy. But yeah, so anyone out there paying for, teaching or coaching and all that, be, kind of aware of who you're dealing with. And, if I don't know if did Frank, do you know if Zuber put out that Jason Pritchard interview yet on YouTube, or is it just in school?
I believe, I think he did because some folks I was talking to last night had already watched it.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah.
I highly recommend that one. That was I tuned it. Sorry, Frank, I didn't come to the old guy. I didn't think I was invited to the old guy accountability group because I didn't make the age cut. But um but that was a great interaction with Zuber and Pritchard, because I think for a lot of people it's going to reinforce just kind of sticking to the basics. Even Jason Pritchard talks about how people are getting into trouble with sub two and some of these creative finance strategies. He's not saying they're bad. He says he's done them, but he said even like him, he's may have only done like 10 sub twos in like his, you know, 10 to 20-year real estate investing journey, right? So it's not a common thing. And there's a lot of people doing these deals where there's not enough meat on the bone. So if anything goes wrong, now you're in trouble or you're underwater and you're trying to figure out an exit strategy. So he's kind of just saying like make sure you're at a point where almost like if something goes wrong, you can buy the property outright on your own. right? And so I think it's a great reminder to a lot of people that you know, and I see it to a lot of people I talk to, they get their first rental and then they start thinking, but I want to do short-term rentals now, I want to do midterm rentals. And I'm just like, oh, slow down. Like you forgot to set up your escrow payments, or you forgot to, you didn't realize your property manager was charging you all these extra fees. So it's like you still trying to figure out how to be a landlord, and you're trying to expand and do all these other things. And I think that interaction with Jason Pritchard and Zuber was a great one for people if they can check it out. Hey, Paul Rink is here. Thanks for stopping by, Paul. You're killing it, man. You're doing a lot of cool videos out there, man. I think you're niching down on the house hacking strategy. So if anyone's out there, go check out Paul's YouTube channel. He's doing a lot of cool stuff. I think he's interacting with a lot of house hackers, and I think that's a great way to get started in real estate if you can. But yeah, anything else you guys want to talk about, chat about, what you guys working on, what you guys got going on?
I had a question for Kobe earlier. You were talking about the different countries,
Mhm.
and there are a couple of people in the community that are in Canada, and so they're investing here in the States because of our, 30-year fixed mortgage rates and loans and things. Is that a challenge in other countries? I don't think anybody else has that kind of a structure, do they?
No, so the way I think like the real estate market works in the U.S. is very unique as compared to how it works in other countries, especially just like from what I know on the representation side for sure. Like I think we're the only real estate market where it's so specific as far as like there's a buyer's agent and there's a listing agent right now that might change over time as well with kind of what's going on. But yeah, with financing, it's just going to be different for every country. Um, a lot of the financing terms are not going to be as favorable in terms of you can put so much or so little down as you can here in the U.S. and buy properties in some of these other countries, especially if you're like a international investor, right? They're really looking for like injections of cash, uh, essentially to give you the benefits.
Do you invest in properties as well?
No, and
No.
definitely not out of the country for now. But I know people who do, and it's
Mhm.
I think for them it's just they're in a different stage of their investing, a different stage of life. A lot of people who are investing out of the country are people who travel a lot to those countries that also we use that as a vacation home for themselves. Is the biggest reason why they would look outside of their countries.
Okay. Yeah, and to Mark's point earlier, with talking about reserves and stuff, I think Casey says it sometimes when she's on with Zuber that, money solves a lot of problems. So, to have a decent cash reserve is helpful. Um, and uh, you mentioned you don't invest out of state. Do you have any properties here in the States?
No,
No.
no, yeah, I haven't started on that
Mhm.
piece yet. No.
I do work with, I have a longtime friend here in California that's an EXP agent, and I think he's been with EXP for going on 5 years now. But they, every time I talk to him, he's flying off to some convention. Do you attend a lot of those things?
Uh, I I wouldn't. Once a year is
Okay.
we have our EXP con once a year. I think it was in
Okay.
Miami this year, and it's going to be in Miami next year. Um, and the past couple years has been in Vegas. But yeah, there's a lot of events going on. So we have a Mexico like in Cabo event coming up in March. I think there's just events scattered locally all the time. So yeah, if people plug into that. There's so many events to go to,
Yeah.
but it's also like it's good to go to them. But you guys know, like going to conventions also costs money as well. So,
Right. Yeah. It's pretty expensive to fly all over the country.
yeah,
We got Chris here from Lynchburg. He's been busy with he's doing economics and stuff, and he wants to teach when he's I don't know. I guess when he's retired, he wants to teach still yet, like uh so he's trying to work on that. So he hasn't been on the channel recently. But I think he's avoiding me because the Patriots suck right now. So I think he doesn't want to eat. Well, okay, I better not say that because the Patriots destroyed the Bears. but yeah. But yeah, man. And I think Kobe, you did go to an event. You said you think you may have saw Donato from Bright
Yeah.
Investor, and I think did we confirm that Bright Investor is working with EXP now? Did we? I forgot if we did we confirm that or.
I don't know if we confirmed that yet, but I seeing him at the convention was a sign.
Yeah, I know Donano mentioned from Bright Investor that they were going to be partnering, I think, with EXP to kind of um, maybe provide agents with access to Bright Investor to use. So I'm
Yeah.
not sure exactly, but I don't want to don't take my word for it. I just remember Donato mentioning that, but we'll go check on that. Yeah, Chris says the internet just chopped out. Sorry. What's up, man? Yeah, I was just talking shit about you for a little while, but need you to hop back on, man. We need some real economic information going on here. Hey, yeah, he did see. He knew when I mentioned the Bears and the Pats. But yeah, what you got going on today, then, Frank? Kobe got to interview a lot more people today. Frank, you got doing some work.
Yeah, not interviewing today. I think I've gotten it pretty much everything scheduled until like the end of January. I have one more person to interview this just like for the rest of this year, and then we're set for the pretty much in the end of January. But I'll be scheduling more interviews in January for for the rest of the year in 2025. But yeah, that's pretty much what I got going on. Kind of just enjoying the end of the year. How about you, Frank?
Drinking some
Yeah,
beers, Frank.
we're just trying to wrap up a couple of projects. And the agent that I mentioned that's here on near us, we're doing a remodel for him that should wrap up. Take us about 3 or 4 weeks, and then looking forward to next year. This year, as far as the investment properties, has been kind of rough. We've put a lot of money into the properties, and it looks like it's all going to start paying off soon. So next year should be a really, really good year.
Right. You guys have any fun plans for the holidays for Christmas?
For us, I think we're just going to lay low and yeah, just enjoy the time off that we get. We don't. I think my wife, she's got like a week or so off for from school, and I usually just take the immediate holiday off. So
I thought you were coming to Hawaii, Frank.
one of these days, yeah, I think that Mikey and I joke about that. What are we going to do when we retire? I hope we'll have enough money to travel around and visit all of our friends that we've made. You guys in Hawaii, we have some friends. Actually, somebody was talking about Milwaukee, trying to look at the Milwaukee market. We have,
Curtis, yeah.
yeah. Well, he probably knows Cody. Cody's in Milwaukee. Brett Beesboer, your favorite firefighter, is over there. And
Yeah. He must be busy because I
I
haven't
think,
seen him
yeah,
or heard from him. Oh, well, he actually commented recently on my Facebook, but haven't seen him as much recently. But Chris has a question for you, Kobe. Before you wrap things up, he says, "Have you seen more action in resale over the last month?" Frank, I do not remember if you're also an agent, but have you seen anything in your markets?
Yes. So yeah, just from what I've seen, yeah, picking up. Even though December is really not like a active time normally, but because it's been like a weird year for real estate. Yes, compared to the other months of the year, last month's the resales have picked up just from kind of what I've seen from our agents in our group.
and I'm not an agent. I'm just a general contractor. And
What do you mean, just a contractor?
Yeah, I think contractor's job is a lot harder.
Yeah, Joe and Brett probably taught him two pain in my asses, but yeah.
yeah, I think Brett's been really busy, but Cody and Brett seem to really have it going on. Brett does a lot of his own work
Mhm.
on his rehabs, and he's building quite a portfolio, and Cody as well. Cody's been in it about the same time we have, going on 4 years, but he's got several duplexes. He's up near, I think, closer to Green Bay and at the Appleton area, and Brett is actually down in Milwaukee.
Yeah, so Curtis has a lot of resources
Hmm.
to connect with and pick their brains. Like I said, before I wrap things up, I did put I put Hyder's YouTube channel. I meant to put Frank's YouTube channel in there again. But I put the PayPal link for the shirts if anyone hasn't purchased the shirt. Oh, and I do have Kobe's YouTube channel here. I thought I didn't have it saved, but let me put Kobe's channel. Go check out Kobe over there on YouTube. And let me see if I can find Frank's one real fast. But yeah, if you haven't picked up your shirts, go pick it up. It's a great cause. Support the Blind Center. I think it's gonna be really fun this year, Frank. I think hopefully like he was talking about, right? Like using those extra rooms at the event center and kind of using that for people to like almost like breakout rooms. I think that's gonna be a great idea. Hold on, here's Frank's channel, and yeah, we'll wrap things up. Just kind of I didn't get a chance to talk to Mikey about it yesterday because the the internet technician actually came on time. I never thought he would have been on time, so we had to cut the live a little short yesterday. But I must say, it seems like he did a good job because the stream is working well, and we're on multiple platforms. Um, but I didn't get a chance to talk to Mikey about kind of living in an expensive market like Hawaii and kind of being you almost get trapped, I think, thinking that it's okay to be in the rat race because you're trading it off for being in paradise. So I think that's kind of what I see a lot of people is they're okay with that trade off. Like you're almost like you're supposed to be in the rat race if you're in Hawaii because of the high cost of living. So it's a trade off. I'm in paradise, so I'm going to be in the rat race, and I'm hopefully um, our channels and things like that can help people kind of change their mindset a little bit because you're in California, another expensive area. But yeah, and if I don't talk to you guys before the Christmas season, have a great Christmas holidays. But it's crazy right now. But yeah, Kobe will connect. Yeah, my mom had hip replacement, and my dad has the flu now, so just dealing with all of that. So, but yeah, it was fun, guys. Yeah, we'll do this again. The stream worked well. I think it did well on all the platforms, and yeah, we'll do this again. So, you guys want any final parting words?
Well, for me, just thanks for always thinking about us and inviting us. I appreciate everything you're doing, and it's great to meet you, Kobe. Hopefully, we'll get to talk more soon, and um, yeah, I'm sure we'll run into each other, Mark, before the holiday. So,
Ah, man, I was
yeah,
hoping. Man. Actually, there's I mean, I'm sure everyone knows, but Dion live today.
today at 4
Today, right?
p.m.
4
Pacific.
p.m. Yeah, and I think Hugo's going live. So if anyone wants to check out some crypto news and stuff, check out Hugo on YouTube and X. And yeah, Kobe, maybe you can get Frank on your channel.
Yeah.
Talk about all his different markets and maybe see if we can get him to get his license.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. Thanks for stopping by. And actually, I think I'm gonna do one more live on Friday. It's gonna be actually my first one with two people in Hawaii. Tyler's gonna be back on, and another investor that we know from the same kind of mastermind group. This guy Dean, he's a agent also. I think with Coldwell Banker. I forget. But anyways, it's gonna be my first one with maybe just kind of two 808 state people. But thanks everyone. Hey
Nice.
Jason, sorry man, we're out. Thanks for stopping by. All right,
Thank
everyone.
you. Bye.